Minister, I'd like to take 1 or 2 questions from gentlemen.
This is our first meeting this year. And as always, I don't take it for granted, so I just want to thank you for honoring our invitation. As you are aware, one of the 3 major policy plans of this administration is the fight against corruption, with the others, of course, being to tackle insecurity and also to revamp the economy. We will be having a series of thematic press conferences on these issues in the days ahead, with this one on the fight against corruption being the first one. It is common knowledge that one of the most difficult tasks for any government is to fight corruption. Because when you fight corruption, corruption will fight you back. This explains why naysayers have continued to belittle or dismiss the administration's anti-corruption efforts and success. Let me say here that fighting corruption is a marathon and not a sprint. Also, investigations, arrests, prosecutions, and asset forfeiture, which are immediate, visible indices by which many measure success in tackling corruption, constitute, as important as they may seem, just a part of the strategies to combat corruption. It's also a more fundamental strategy, which I will describe as structural and governance reforms, or, if you like, constitutional reforms. Today's press conference will therefore look at this fundamental strategy, at the same time highlight the successes recorded in recent times by the various anti-corruption agencies, including but not limited to Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, and the Code of Conduct Bureau, CC. Gentlemen, the Buhari administration has taken bold measures to streamline cumbersome bureaucratic process in the implementation of government policies, check corrupt practices, and ensure accountability in the implementation, as well as delivery of these policies. These reforms are all-inclusive, cutting across all spheres of governance and not excluding even the private sector. They are the Treasury Single Account, the Integrated Personnel and Payroll Information System, IPS, the Petroleum Industry Act, Financial Autonomy, the Petroleum Industry Act, the Financial Autonomy for State Legislature and Judiciary, the Whistleblower Policy, the Assets Recovery, Justice and Law Reforms, Nigeria's membership of the Open Government Partnership, as well as the various instruments at the disposal of federal government to track, trace, and stop the flow of illicit funds used in financing terrorist activities within Nigeria, among others. For those who may say that some of these reforms, like the TSA, predate this administration, our response is very simple. What is the use of a policy that is not implemented? This administration has implemented these reforms with fidelity, and the reforms have made a huge impact in preventing corruption. For example, upon assuming office in 2050, President Muhammad Buhari operationalized the TSA, a public accounting system that enables the government to manage its finances, that is both revenue and payments, using a single unified account or a series of linked accounts domiciled at the Central Bank of Nigeria. The President issued a directive to all ministries, departments, and agencies to close their accounts with deposit money banks, which you call commercial banks, and transfer the funds in all these accounts to the CBN on or before the 15th of September 2015. The single treasury account system was launched in 2012, but failed to gain traction until President Muhammad Buhari gave it a fillip. The TSA system has now been implemented in more than 90% of all federal MDs, and this has resulted in the consolidation of more than 17,000 bank accounts previously spread across commercial banks in the country. And this has also resulted in a monthly savings of an average of 4 billion naira in bank charges alone. Also, against stiff opposition, the Buhari administration has expanded the coverage of the IPPIs, that is the Integrated Personnel Payment Information System. The TSA and IPs remain an unfolding revolution in public finance in Nigeria that have incorporated transparency and accountability into the system. The use of BVN to verify the federal government's payroll on the IP's platform has so far led to the detection of over 54,000 fraudulent payroll entries. The federal government has also utilized the BVN system to verify beneficiaries and vendors in the Anchor Borrowers Program, the Empower Program, and the Home School Feeding Program, among others. The whistleblower policy, which is an initiative of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, is meant to encourage the voluntary disclosure of information about fraud, bribery, and looted government funds, including financial misconduct and any form of corruption or theft. The whistleblower whose information leads to recovery is entitled to 2.5% to 5% from the recovered funds. Information and tips received are usually referred to the EFCC, ICPC, or NFIU for further painstaking investigations. This policy has helped in the cleansing of IPs, has led to compliance on the TSA, and enhanced the Procurement Act of 2007. As of 2020, a total sum of about 700 billion naira has been recovered through the whistleblower policy. Then there's the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. As you are aware, there has been a dire need for Nigeria to reform the laws of its oil and gas sector, which accounts for about 90% of its foreign exchange earnings and about 65% of government revenue. While some of the laws had become outdated and unsuited to the 21st century, some were simply non-existent to regulate certain activities, thereby creating loopholes to be exploited by corrupt practitioners. A case in point is the P&ID case, in which a company registered in a foreign tax haven colluded with corrupt officials over a set-to-fail gas processing project to secure about $10 billion award against the Nigerian government via arbitration process abroad. Attempts to revamp petroleum laws by successive governments proved futile for over 20 years, until President Muhammad Buhari broke the jinx to push through the Petroleum Industry Act in 2021 through strong will and determination. January, President Muhammad Buhari signed an executive order in May 2020 that unequivocally granted financial autonomy to state houses of assembly, state judiciaries, as well as local governments, and the third tier of government. The order also mandated the Accountant General of the Federation to deduct from source funds due to state legislatures and judiciaries from the monthly allocation of states that fail to comply. You must note that lack of financial autonomy for the separate arms of government at the state level is a major structural flaw that is in need of reform, and this has been addressed by the Buhari administration. Also, the financial suffocation of local governments is a major enabler of insecurity and terrorism in the Nigerian countryside. Most of Nigeria's 774 local governments exist in rural areas where effective local governance is an existential issue. To underscore their responsibility to the people, President Muhammad Buhari recently reminded the local government chairmen of their burden of accounting for every kobo allocated to their councils should they fold their arms and allow the sharing to continue by the state governments. On assets recovery, Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption, PACA, has assisted anti-corruption agencies in devising clear strategies for obtaining forfeiture of assets suspected to have been fraudulently acquired from state coffers before prosecuting suspected culprits. Part of this work has involved painstakingly reviewing existing laws, such as the Money Laundering Act 2004, the FTC Act of 2004, and the ICPC Act 2000, in order to identify and highlights sections directed conferring powers of forfeiture on Nigeria's anti-corruption agencies. This advocacy has led to a significant increase in the use of non-conviction-based asset forfeiture mechanism by anti-corruption agencies. To check terrorism financing in Nigeria, the federal government has deployed a plethora of tools, including the Money Laundering Act 2004, the FCC Act 2004, the ICPC Act 2000, Department of State Services, DSS, and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, to deal with the issue of corruption, money laundering, and terror financing. The ongoing harmonization of bank verification numbers, BVN, with national identification numbers, NIN, is also a means of tracking the flow of funds within Nigeria and by extension, tackling terror financing. Let me now highlight the much more visible activities of some of the various anti-corruption agencies, all of which have been effectively carrying out their mandates. In 2021 alone, the FCC secured a total of 2,220 convictions. That represents a 127% increase in the number of convictions, which was 976 recorded in 2020, and a far cry from the 195 convictions secured in 2016, the 189 in 2017, and the 312 convictions in 2018, and the 1,280 recorded in 2019. The 2021 figures of 2,220 convictions represent a 98.49% success rate, with only 34 cases representing 1.51% discharged. On monetary recoveries, in 2021 alone, the FCC recovered a total monetary amount of 152 billion 88,698,751 naira 64 kobo. 1,182,519 pounds sterling. 1,723,010 Saudi riyals. 1,900 South African rand. 386,220,202 US dollars. 156,246 euros. 1,400 Canadian dollars. 5.369 Bitcoin and 0.091 Ethereum. The last two are digital currencies. The ICPC has played a pivotal role in bringing about structural changes in the operations of the government, especially regarding improvements in MDA's budget utilization, better value for money, improved project completion, service delivery, and higher level of anti-corruption awareness. Recall, gentlemen, that the Commission established the constituency and the executive projects tracking initiative in 2019 to ensure value for money for the Nigerian people and full execution of projects. Between 2019 and 2021, ICPC traced 2,000 projects worth 300 billion naira. During the same period, 326 contractors of abandoned projects across the 6 geopolitical zones were forced by the Commission to return to site to complete projects for which they had been paid about 32 billion naira. Also, the ICPC's assets tracing recovery and management project led to the recovery of cash totaling $34.346 billion and US $1.62 million between 2019 and 2021. Also, the Commission's system study and review of personnel and capital boards of MDAs resulted in savings of 261 billion naira to the government between 2019 and 2021. ICPC has also secured 66 convictions from 243 cases it filed in court during the same 3-year period. For its part, the analysis by the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, NFIU, in 2021 revealed 96 financiers of terrorism in Nigeria, 424 associate supporters of the financiers, the involvement of 123 companies and 33 bureau de change, in addition to identifying 26 suspected bandits, kidnappers, and 7 co-conspirators. The analysis has resulted in the arrest of 45 suspects who will soon face prosecution and seizure of assets. Also, from its analysis of tax evasion and tax avoidance linked to corruption, NFIU has identified 3,907,678,102 naira in VAT and 3,733,918,335,075 naira withholding taxes to the government. This is the analysis. It does not mean they have recovered that. Withholding tax due to the government, that is withholding tax due to the government. NFIU has also sent 1,165 intelligence reports on cases of corruption, money laundering, and other serious offenses to 27 domestic agencies for investigation, prosecution, and asset recovery. On terrorism financing, NFIU had intelligence exchanges on Boko Haram, ISWAP, banditry, kidnapping, and others with 19 other countries. During the same period, that's 2020-2021, the NFIU returned fraudulently obtained funds totaling $103,722,102, 3,000 pounds sterling, 7,695 Singapore dollars, and 1,091 euros to 11 countries of victims who came into the country. There's also the Code of Conduct Bureau, which was established as an institutional response to the observed deterioration in the conduct of public officers, especially because these behavioral changes manifested greatly in the abuse of public office for private gains. The CCB handles, among others, issues of asset declaration by public officials, as well as the verification of the assets. In 2021, CCB issued 125,000 asset declaration forms, out of which 97,201 forms were returned. These figures represent a 48% increase in the number of asset declaration forms issued and a 1,000 increase in submission compliance when compared with the previous year. As part of its reforms, the CCB is ready to deploy an online asset declaration portal that will allow for enhanced storage and retrieval of data, reduce delays caused by incomplete and incorrect declarations, and reduce errors, among others. In 2021, the Bureau investigated several cases involving illicit enrichment, conflicts of interest, abuse of office, and ethical breaches, resulting in the filing of over 200 cases before the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Gentlemen, we've gone to this length to let you know that the Buhari administration's fight against corruption is unwavering, alive, and on course. This administration has put in place structures that will not only check corrupt tendencies, but will also make corruption unattractive and costly to those who want to engage in it. Even the World Bank says that when approaching anti-corruption at the country level, it is important to put in place institutional systems and incentives to prevent corruption from occurring in the first place. And that is precisely what this administration has been doing, which is that we are putting structural and governance reforms which I have enumerated above. I want to most sincerely commend the efforts of the various anti-corruption agencies, ministries, departments and agencies for their unwavering commitment to the fight against corruption. I also want to implore all Nigerians to join in this fight, as it is not a fight for the government alone. With the support of all citizens, I can assure you that we will defeat this monster that stunts development and impedes investment. I thank you all for your very kind attention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
This press conference is not a reaction to the TC, to the TI report at all. This press conference, like I said, is the first in a series of thematic press conferences that we're going to be holding to explain what the administration is doing in the areas of fighting corruption, revamping the economy, and fighting insecurity. And what we have done is simply to tell the world what we've been doing in this fight against corruption. When the president in 2015, in his campaign, announced that his administration will concentrate on fighting corruption, revamping the economy, and tackling insecurity, he was not playing the agenda of Transparency International or anybody. So to that extent, what we are saying that this government has a responsibility to Nigerians to fight corruption because it is one of the campaign promises of the administration. And what I've tried to do is to detail what we've done in terms of convictions, in terms of recoveries, but more importantly, in terms of the institutional reforms we have carried out, and in terms of the structural platforms that are available today that work every day to fight corruption. Thank you. Clearly, the issue of DSO cannot come in, of course, you know that. We are talking about this is about anti-corruption. Thank you. So, Abraham.
I tell NFIU, part of their job is to trace illicit funds, either drugs or terrorism, but they've been able to identify and they will charge about 45 people who are terrorists who are linked to illicit funding. 2, I did not say 7 trillion was the 10 trillion naira was recovered
from either VAT or withholding tax. No, I said analysis, and I think I even stopped to explain that NFIU analyzed, and from that analysis they came out with certain conclusions. I'm glad that you made that issue. Thirdly, IPs. You see, my position on IPs, and I think you should check, to the best of my knowledge, today, ASU is an IPs, to the best of my knowledge. So I don't think it's an issue I want to belabor. And if every organization should insist on its own form of accounting and payment, you will not be able to achieve what we have achieved in ensuring that we will fight corruption. I explained to you here that IPs alone led to the detection of 54,000 fraudulent entries, which means 54,000 people were earning money as if they were working for government. So, and when we are fighting corruption, we must take the large perspective. So, but to the best of my knowledge, I believe IPs is already on, that ASU is already on IPs. Yes, please. I want to assure you that the anti-graft agencies will continue to do their best. But without the cooperation of the populace, we will not succeed. On the issue of the whistleblower policy, I have very personal experiences where I actually also investigated a lot of so-called allegations. We had instances where the whistleblower policy became a racket, where the same information was being repeated by several people. And that is why the ministry had to be very, very cautious. And if you listen to my press conference, this particular one, I said cases, once we get information from informants or tips, we refer them to either ICPC, police, EFCC, NFIU, because they are the ones that are competent to actually trace and confirm if indeed the whistleblower is actually blowing a true whistle or a fake one. Now, what we find out in most cases that even those who are blowing whistles are not very clear. And like I explained, it's only when your information, your whistleblowing, leads to recovery that you are paid. People think that just because they give information that ₦1 billion is missing, they should be given ₦1 billion. But all the same, we're also fine-tuning some of the parameters of the whistleblowing policy. And I think the other question you asked was about I'm not aware of that, and I'll find out. We are not fighting corruption to impress anybody. TI or CI or ZT. We are fighting corruption. Nobody told us 2015 to make fighting corruption a cardinal plank of administration. So I'm not really impressed or moved by what TI says. I am more concerned about what we are doing. And we continue doing so. So I'm not, this is not a reaction to TI at all. And all I want you to see is that I've told you these are the structural reforms we put in place. Are they true or are they not true? Are they effective or not? I've told you these are the numbers of recovery assets. This is my own mandate, and this is. Pardon? Look, Amaka, please tell me one country. Tell me one organization why you don't have systemic corruption. Look, all this, let me tell you, if I go to you, and if I go to your organization today, I'm sure there's fraud. No, listen. That is why you have auditors. No, listen. Look, put 2-3 people together. Put money there, you find corruption. Anywhere in the world. Look, some people who have now arrogated to themselves the right to say A is corrupt. What is happening in their own systems? This country is not fighting corruption to impress anybody. It's because we recognize that corruption stunts growth. Corruption will not let you grow. It will not let get investment. And that's why the president said, and I told you that, look, the executive order, number 10, is it number 10 or number 11? the executive order in 2020 that gave financial autonomy to local governments, to state legislatures, to judiciary. It's one of the most effective ways of fighting corruption. And President warned them. He did two things. If I get a complaint that a particular state government is not releasing money due to local government, I will deduct it from its next allocation. And went further to warn the local government chairman, if you continue to collude with your state governments and you share local government allocation, on the day of reckoning, you will be made to account for every penny allocated to you. What more do we expect the government to do? You see, I want you to please look at these institutional reforms we put in place. If they are not working, make contribution to them. Look, in churches there's corruption. In mosques there's corruption. Anywhere there's human being, there's corruption. So what I'm talking about? But the point is that, are we folding our arms? We're not. I will continue to do our best to eliminate corruption. But if you stay there and say there's systemic corruption, of course if there's none, there will be no AFCC, there will be no NFIU, there will be no SSS. Every day, crimes are being committed in every second, crimes are being committed in every corner of the globe. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Let me return to the